I went to the bike store yesterday to find the replacement bolts that I had broke, which are here. And not only did they have them, but they had brand new ones in a Schwinn package, unopened. There was actually about a dozen or so of these bolts, and they not only had the nuts with them, of course, but they had the washers as well, or the bushings, I guess you would call it. I was also able to find 4 of the correct 10 millimeter cap bolts that go on the brake shoes. And then lastly, as I was digging around in my stash of spare parts, I actually came across the type of reflector that fits these pedals. So I'm going to replace this for the one that is cracked on that one pedal. So today we're going to finish putting the rear brake back together, and I need to shine these up a little bit with some steel wool because they got a little dull on the wire wheel. Then we're going to dig into the last parts that need to be cleaned, which is the front and the rear derailleur, as well as the seat post. That's what's happening on this episode of Featherstone Bicycles. The first thing we're going to do while we're taking care of these little odds and ends is get the derailleurs soaking in the solvent to get some of the major grease off. That's about all we need for that. And I'm going to shine these up a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, they've gotten a little dull on the wire wheel. That was probably because of residual grease and grime from cleaning off some other parts. But a little steel wool and a little handwork here gets them nice and shiny again. Brakes all in order, we will start cleaning up some of the components of the derailleurs while the actual derailleurs are still soaking a little bit in the solvent. I'm going to put some simple green on the steel wool and clean up these cable housings. This is the small piece that's down at the bottom, near the bottom bracket, and it's always the dirtiest, I guess for obvious reasons. There's a little bit of cracking where it fits into the derailleur fitting, or the shifter housing, but these particular cables, it's not, you know, the end of the world, but they actually do have a different pattern. They have whereas the brake cable housings are smooth, the shifter cable housings always had a little, almost like a grid pattern on them. Probably can't see that on the camera, but as I said, I like to keep it as original as possible, so I don't worry about little cracks like that. If it was, you know, damaged in the middle, then I'd have to go with something else. So then the other thing I need to do before we get into the actual derailleurs is, this is the part that I picked up for the seat post clamp, which somehow found its way into the derailleur bag. And then these are some little pieces that will hit up on the wire wheel. Solvent. Not sure what to do. There's a lot of tension internally in these springs, and when I've taken them apart before, it's very difficult to get them back in alignment with the screws the right way. So I'm going to take the limit screws out. And that's about it. So really the only other there's these two as well. They're just acting as pivot points for what you're holding it down on. Well, that one actually is holding the spring, this arm into the spring. So anyway, I'm just going to work around that and clean this off, clean these other parts up, and call it good. Because trust me, it's a lot of work once you take these 4 off and then trying to line them all up again because of the tension of that spring. The spring is extremely strong. Now the question is, I didn't take a picture of it, so can I put it all back together? I've done enough of them that I think I'll be okay. I know this goes here. Now the rear derailleur is a little bit trickier. One thing I was going to do is just hit that up before I forget with a little of the one step. Hit that spring up in there. Just get some lubricant in there. I can tell by the action that it's working fine, but never hurts. So a lot of riveted parts here. Obviously, those are not going to come apart. It probably would be a benefit for me, though, to take a picture or two of this. So I'm going to have to stop the camera and do that. Okay, got the pictures taken. All right, well, as usual, I'm running out of phone storage space. So I'm going to do as much as I can, and we'll see where we end up at the end. I can take this one off, this wheel, these cages, gear wheels, whatever you want to call them, get the worst of it, and this is part of a spring on here, so we'll see if I can get that off as well. Actually, I'll stop filming, take it apart, and then revisit it. Got it all apart except for the main spring here. Again, just like the front derailleur, we won't mess with that. But we got the gear wheels off in the back, 15 tiniest ball bearings in there, limit screws and various barrel adjusters and whatnot. There is another spring that I don't mind taking apart, which makes the whole cage in the back move back and forth. So that's an update. To save space, I'm going to start cleaning and report back. Quick update before I run out of storage. I've got everything cleaned, including all the ball bearings, tiniest little ball bearings, out of the wheels here for the back derailleur. And now I'm going to put it all back together and then report back. All right, the rear derailleur is put back together, and here's the whole picture of the rear and the front and all the cables, and we are done. And there are all of our parts that we'll be putting back together on the final episode, next episode. All right, we're all finished with everything, and next episode is the finale when we'll be putting it all together. I will give you a hint as to the music. When I picked out this music, I thought wrongly that the thumbnail should be Andrew Jackson, but upon further research of this piece of music, I realized that it would be more appropriate to show Napoleon on the bike bicycling out of Moscow. So with those hints, you might be able to figure out what the music is. I'm not sure that I'm going to be using Napoleon. We'll have to leave that up to my daughter, who's the graphic artist who helps me with the thumbnails. Anyway, thanks for sticking with me, and I hope to see you next time for the season finale of season 3 on Featherstone bicycles.